25 million liter tank. And he's inside it. And what you're watching is us testing it. Because there is no way to test that thing. There's no model, we built a model and we put a little plastic figure and a bunch of torpedoes in it and rotated it once and they smashed the little plastic figure.
Okay, that's terrible.
Let's talk about safety cables.
Yes.
We knew, however, that we kept telling everyone around us, they kept saying, well, they kept looking at, we pre-visualized the sequence in a lot of detail. And we kept having to remind people, this is an idea.
See, that's a cartoon.
This is a cartoon. This is not what will happen. Be ready for anything. And when you watch Fellini's 8.5, and not to compare myself to him in any way, shape, or form, but when you watch Marcello Mastroianni coming to set every day and watching the rocket ship be built, that gimbal was being built behind my trailer. Over 2.5 years while we were making Dead Reckoning, while we were trying to figure out the train sequence in that movie, knowing full well that we did not know what would happen when we turned that thing on. So everything that you're watching on screen, we didn't give ourselves more time. When the gimbal was ready, we went in with nothing inside it except the one set. We rotated it one time. We're shocked to discover nothing we thought about physically had been anticipated, and then said, what do we do with this environment? That's the sequence you're going to watch tonight with Tom Cruise at the center of it.
It's crazy.
It's been, and you have to act in it.
Yeah, and you know, but that's movies too. As we're looking at things in the origin of cinema, it was, here's the physics, what can we do, what story can we tell, how can we invest an audience in this, and where do we put the camera, and what's going to be the most entertaining. We try to anticipate what things are. It's not like we haven't done, I've been doing underwater sequences since Legend, and then we just keep going and going and going and pushing and trying to improve in every area as best we can. And the next films we'll do, we're going to learn from this and apply it to the next and the next and the next.
There's stepping onto the surface of another planet. The wind is hitting you in excess of 140 miles an hour coming off of the propeller. The molecules of the air are so dispersed, you're breathing, but only physically. You're not actually getting oxygen. And Mary Boulding is sitting next to me, and she's got a stopwatch. And when Tom climbs out of the cockpit, I'll say, start the clock. And every minute, Mary Boulding says, 1 minute on the wing. And Tom is going through his performance, 2 minutes on the wing. Tom has 12 minutes. We know this from experimentation, that at about 12 minutes, the fatigue of being blasted by this wind is breaking his entire body down to the point where it's literally like 2 hours in the gym. And Tom, being the perfectionist that he is, would get to about 12 minutes, and I would lean out the door of the helicopter and say, and Tom would go, 13 minutes on the way. If you've ever seen Rocky, there was a moment, more than one moment, where Tom had pushed himself to the point that he was so physically exhausted, he couldn't get back up off the wing. He was laying on the wing of the plane. His arms are hanging over the front of the wing. We could not tell if he was conscious or not, and we also knew that unless Tom did this, it was expressly agreed he was not in trouble and he could not cut. You can't do this when you're unconscious. So we're waiting to see if there's any indication if Tom is okay. This means I'm resting, and we're waiting to see this sign. And Tom is laying on the wing of the plane, and John remained in the plane so that the planes could have their full maneuverability. We didn't leave with a full tank of fuel. We left with a very light load of fuel so that the airplane could do the aerobatics it did, at which point John Romaine says, I have 3 minutes of fuel. 22 minutes on the wing. This was a typical day shooting in Africa, and watching Tom at the point of physical exhaustion get himself, because by the way, the plane can't land if Tom's on the wing. I should have mentioned that. So when John Romaine is saying 3 minutes, he's got 3 minutes to get up, but he's been on that wing for 20 minutes. And we watched Tom as he pulled himself up and stuck his head in the cockpit so that he could replenish the oxygen in his body and then climb up into the cockpit and bring the plane safely down to land. No one on Earth can do that but